Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my tier list for Best Animated Feature nominees of the 2020s. I think, as a whole, this decade has been really strong. Like, god damn, there's so many good nominees and even some really good winners so far. Even if not all of them would be, how I would have voted, like, there's still some very interesting picks. And also, this is like one of the few rare times where it's like, this is not a good time to be Disney right now in this category. Like, only 2 out of the 5 years in this current 2020s decade have gone to Disney films. Only 2, like, Soul and Encanto. All the others is like, yeah, no, Disney was defeated. And in a couple of those cases, with The Boy and the Heron year and this year with Flow, Disney was not even like number 2 to win. Hell, I would argue that, this year when Flow won, like Inside Out 2 is maybe number 4 to win. Because I would still say that Wallace and Gromit had a better chance at winning than Inside Out 2 did. But still, there's just a lot of great films here. A lot of great films. Not all of them are great, but we'll talk about those here in a bit.
We interrupt this programming to tell you that channel memberships are open. For $2 a month, you can get members-only video content, from reading your comments, special editorials, small awards, season updates, and more. Other perks include weekly members-only live streams, exclusive emojis, badges, and even access to my members-only Discord server. You also get your name to appear in my videos as a special thanks for your support. With your help, we can conquer the Oscar space on YouTube and rule over all. Remember, Uncle Chris needs you.
But right now, we're going to start off really strong with The Boy and the Heron, Hayao Miyazaki's second Oscar win, at least a competitive Oscar win. This film's great. I actually was able to see this in the theater, and my god, this is a cinematic experience. Like, being able to see, like, I know it's weird, but it's like seeing some of those characters that aren't really that well polished in the background, like they're really far away, but like they kind of look like blobby because the animators can't draw that small. It actually has a very endearing feel to it when you're watching it in the theater. It just feels like, man, we're kind of like, we're just back to this. Like it feels like something that we just haven't really quite gotten in recent years. Obviously, like Hayao Miyazaki's artistry is on display. It is just phenomenal. And Joe Hisaishi's score, my god, this is the best work I think he's ever done. And the thing is, like, I'm not even, like, the biggest, okay, granted, I think and I will say, like, I'm not in love with some of Miyazaki's films. Like, I like Spirited Away, but I don't love it. This film I actually do love. There's just something about, especially watching it in the theater, it's like, you feel like you're just, like, on this grand, epic adventure, and even with the English voice cast, I mean, Robert Pattinson is phenomenal and unrecognizable with his voice. Like, my god. And the fact that, that Studio Ghibli is able to get so many huge names in these movies, like Robert Pattinson or Christian Bale or Willem Dafoe or Florence Pugh. It's like, they really do like working with Ghibli. I love it. I'm gonna put Boy and the Heron at A tier. It's a very fantastic A tier. Next, we get to a film that's not all that great. In fact, if anything, I would say it's kind of mid, and that's Elemental. Elemental, man, we could have had like a perfect Best Animated Feature lineup if they swapped out Elemental in favor of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Like my god, like I was glad that Robot Dreams got in, but I was like, do we really need to do Elemental? Like, this is like one of Pixar's worst films. And it's just like, I feel like what comes down to it is like, well, for one, I feel like the water dude character is really annoying. Like the way he'll just the way he just cries. It's just like, it's not funny. It's just kind of like, oh my god, dude, shut up. And I just feel like the world building is not all that interesting. Like, it just feels like watered down Zootopia, which is ironic because there's a water dude in this movie. But it's like, I don't know, like, this world, I again, I just don't think it's well thought out. And I feel like I think at this point, if you're going to do a movie about racism, just make it with people. But no, you want to make it safe and marketable so that you don't have to deal with angry conservatives, and, conservative parents can just go, oh, that's not about people. It's just a fun element movie. It's like, I feel like we just grown past this at this point. Like, why do we need to hide racism and hide all these, important thing to talk about in society, and just hide it behind stuff that could be explained away if you're uncomfortable with it. It's like, why I really wish it would, movies like these would now just start being more direct, especially since animation is growing up a lot more, and again, a lot of other studios have started passing Disney with these wins, and it's like, it feels like Disney is, it's kind of ironic because Disney used to be like this big pioneer for animation, and now, it's kind of getting steamrolled nowadays. It's getting steamrolled by movies that have better ideas and better worlds and, more fleshed out imagination. So, I don't know. I think Elemental is kind of like a lot of, granted, it's not the only film in here. Like, there's still a few other mid movies that they've made. But, Elemental, I feel like this was especially the point where I was like, oh, Disney is like, they're not gonna do so well these days, are they? They're not gonna be impressing me. And then we get to Encanto, which is actually, no, it's not the last great animated Disney movie. It's not the last great one, but it's one of the last great ones. Encanto, I feel like, has a really fun story. Not just a really fun story, but it's also just a really well thought out story about, generational trauma. I really like the family dynamic. I mean, the family is, again, really well fleshed out, really funny, especially the boy who can, turn into other people. Really like him. I think he was funny. And you see a lot of these characters talking about their insecurities and stuff, and singing about their insecurities, the buff lady, where I think it's the song Surface Pressure. Again, I think the way this film is done, and I feel like, yeah, it's great. And so I'm probably going to put Encanto in a very, very good A tier. Yeah. Then we get to Flee. Flee, I think it's the first animated documentary in the category. The first ever documentary nominated for animated feature. And also the first ever animated, or just the first film to ever be nominated for animated feature, documentary feature, and international feature at the same time. Really great achievement, and deservedly so, because Flea is a really, a great story. And I really do love Flea. So I'm probably gonna put Flea here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put Flea in a great A tier. Flow, the most recent winner for Best Animated Feature, and one that I actually did call. Most people were still trying to predict The Wild Robot, but I said, you know what? I think the Academy is kind of going in this new direction for animated feature. And so, yeah, and ultimately I got that right. And Flow is very well done. I love the long shots that it has. And the fact that it was all made on Blender is amazing. There's no dialogue in this movie whatsoever. It's mainly, or not just mainly, it really is just the expressions of the characters. And I really found it to be very, very charming. And this world that they create is so mysterious, and you don't really get a lot of answers, but you still feel like it's fleshed out to where it's all right, I can see how this world works. So yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna put Flow at a great, do I put this above or below The Boy and the Heron? Above or below Boy and the Heron? Right now, I'll maybe say just below Boy and the Heron. But yeah, Flow's great. And then we get to Inside Out 2. This is another example of Disney, I feel like, not doing as well. Now, granted, I do think it's good. I like Inside Out 2. But, I don't know. Something about it feels too safe in a way. I don't know. I feel like there were some character decisions being made where I'm just I don't believe what's happening. With Riley just randomly, abandoning her friends to go after and be friends with this one girl. And apparently it turns out that there was like Disney, like, I don't know if it was a cut storyline, but it's like, basically it was supposed to be very much implied that Riley had a crush on this girl, but Disney said, no, make it less gay, make her less gay. And I feel like this movie suffers from that. I feel like the movie suffers from what was intended to be a clear, like, because if it was a crush, then, all right, yeah, sure, I can understand that. Because especially at that age, when you have a crush on someone, you're not gonna think clearly. You are gonna think very irrationally and try and do some stupid things. But I don't really understand like the whole friend thing, though. It's just like, yeah, and it doesn't help that even if you were to go with this whole friend thing, we've seen that kind of story done so many times before, where it doesn't really feel like it's fresh anymore. It feels kind of stale, and so I feel like because of the corporate meddling, Inside Out 2 I feel like just manages to be good. I don't think it's great, and I do think there's some very good ideas in there. But, it doesn't feel as fresh as the first film. It feels like this one just held back its, like, what could have been an interesting look at life and just made it too broad. It made it so broad to where there wasn't really much of a personality in there, which is ironic because this is a movie about a girl's personality. So, yeah. And then there's Luca. Again, not a very, this one I actually probably would also say is mid, closer to Elemental. And I feel like in very similar ways, it does feel like, or at the very least, I feel like it suffers the same way I feel like Inside Out 2 does, but even more so. Because it's so obvious. It's so obvious, again, that the two boys like each other. But again, when you see the decisions that these two characters make, and there's clearly like a whole allegory there about about one of the boys outing the other, and it's like, oh my god. But again, it's more of a generic metaphor, like, oh, you could read into it this way, but we don't want to make the conservative parents angry. And it's like, if you're not gonna tell the story properly, don't tell it. Like don't try to hide behind these layers. Like, we don't really want these crumbs anymore. We want a good fleshed out story from these characters. And again, it makes the movie overall feel very empty. And because at least with Inside Out 2, there's more going on than just, Riley and the other girl and her friends. There's also the other characters as well, the other emotions. But Luca is very much so, first and foremost, about these two characters. And because, again, it just feels like there's a lot of corporate meddling, it just doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't really feel genuine. Like, by the time, the end comes and, one of the boys is getting ready to go off to school, but he has to leave the other friend behind, but he's crying. It's like, and just like, you're gonna be back soon. It's like, I don't know. It felt way too, like, the emotions didn't feel earned, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna put Luca in C tier. I'm probably a little bit above Elemental, because Elemental got on my nerves at points, mainly with the water dude, but yeah. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Now, this one I was pretty surprised I ended up liking as much as I did, because Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is pretty slow-paced, and I was worried, oh man, am I gonna be bored? But man, Marcel is very charming. Jenny Slate's voice is fantastic. And even though I'm not gonna lie, I don't really think Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is an animated movie. It's clearly live action. There's just a few animated segments in there. I mean, good God, like the live action Lion King from 2019 is more animated than this. Because, like, that film was pretty much entirely CGI minus, like, one sunrise shot. Whereas here, it's like, clearly there's so much live action going on. It's like, how, like, what, like, I don't really understand how this managed to cross over from the, or at least, I don't know how this managed to meet the eligibility requirement for the Oscars for Best Animated Feature. But that's not to say that that makes this a bad movie. No, I think this is category fraud, but that doesn't diminish the film at all. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is still great. I really like its simplicity. And in many ways, it kind of reminds me of Winnie the Pooh in many ways. It's a very simple story, but the emotions are very, very prevalent. You feel a lot even when there's not a lot happening, if that makes sense. So I think Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is great. I'm going to put it in A tier. It's great. Yeah. The Mitchells versus the Machines. Oh my God. We might have our first S tier, fellas. We might have our first S tier. I remember when they first came out with the trailer for this thing and it was called Connected. I was like, oh my God, this looks kind of dumb. Especially the name, Connected. It's like, oh, I see how it is. Like because they're trying to connect with each other, but it's all the family has to do that. But they're also connected to the internet. But luckily, when it was sold off to Netflix, it was given its proper title because The Mitchells vs. the Machines matches the movie's energy way more. This movie is insanely fast-paced, but not too much. Like, there's still some moments where it does take breathers, but the pace of this movie, the energy of this movie, the art direction, the characters, the comedy, it's a really funny movie. It's really, really fantastic. I really like these characters, especially the dynamic between the daughter and the father. Really like those two. And even when it has like, the Numa meme, like Maya, Maya, ooh, like it turns what could have so easily been cringe, but yet it also kind of is cringe, but it's sort of the point because the dad doesn't understand memes. He just knows that he like connects with his daughter through some memes. And I didn't think a movie could do that. I did not think a movie could actually like have cringe meme culture and actually have it be an emotional beat in the film. That is unbelievable writing. So yeah, Mitchells vs. the Machines. This is an S tier if there ever was one. This was one of the best films of 2021 in my opinion. Nimona. Oh my God, Nimona. I love this film. Like, my God. And even though, Blue Sky Studios is no more, it's like, it kind of is the best Blue Sky Studios movie that's ever been made. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like Blue Sky Studios movies all that much. I mean, I remember liking Robots quite a bit, but I wasn't like the biggest fan of the Ice Age movies. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Rio movies. Do I remember, what else they made? Oh God, like Ferdinand? What? But Nimona really surprised me. Again, the writing is really good. The energy of the film is really good. I really like the art direction of the film. I know some people say that it looks too cheap, but I don't know. I really got sucked into the style of this. Like, yeah, the polygons are very simple, but again, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the colors or the lighting, but it really does make it feel a lot more energetic. In many ways, the animation feels like Flow, where it's like, yeah, it's not the most detailed, but the actual art direction itself is like really gripping and like really intriguing to look at. I love Nimona. And also, shout out to Eugene Lee Yang, who's in the movie. I'm a fan of the Try Guys, and I'm really glad to see that. Well, he's not a member of the Try Guys anymore, but he was when he was in this movie, and I thought he was really good in the film. Again, Chloe Grace Moretz is really good in the film. I thought Riz Ahmed was really good in the film. My God, I love Nimona. Nimona is so good. I'm going to put Nimona in a high A tier. Really love Nimona. And then we get Onward. Admittedly, this film was better than I thought it was going to be, because like when I saw the trailers, I was like, oh no, this looks stupid. Oh no, oh my God. And I'm not going to lie, when the movie started out, it was kind of stupid. It was pretty lame, because like I saw that the director of this film was from the same director of Monsters University, and I really don't like that film, and I was like, oh no, that is Monsters University all over again. But then as the movie goes on, it gets a lot better, especially once they go on the adventure, because then like just shit hits the fan and things just get crazy. Like, what was it? Like the fairies are really funny. Octavia Spencer as this Manticore is really funny. And especially the villain. I dare not even really a villain. I guess it's like an antagonist they have to defeat at the end. It is so funny and unexpected. And there's just this one moment where it makes an expression. And I was like it's really, really funny. I like that it was able to like throw me so off guard with that. And then the message of the film, like the actual ending is like really, really good. I thought they handled that so perfectly. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but oh my God, I really did love what they did with the ending of, Onward. I'm not gonna say I love Onward. I do quite like Onward, but I'm gonna put it in a B tier. I thought, because again, I do feel like it still started off quite bad, but again, the movie does get a lot better as it goes on. Over the Moon, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of like the most uninspired films amongst this lineup of animated feature nominees. It's like the art direction is beautiful. Like, oh my God, like the movie looks gorgeous. But man, this story feels like it's been half baked. Or I don't know about half baked, or I don't know what it is. Like, it just feels so been there, done that. Like there's a character at the beginning of the film where I was like, okay, this character's gonna die. And then sure enough, they die. It was that predictable. It's like nothing about this movie really feels all that interesting or new or, like inspired or anything. It just feels like a bunch of half-baked ideas rolled up into this film. And I guess, so again, it's not awful, but I'm probably gonna put, do I put Over the Moon? I'll put it a little bit below Elemental. I will say, from here on out, the movies get way better. Like, cause like, I think honestly, we've passed all of like the mid movies. The fact that out of all these movies, I only think Luca, Elemental, and Over the Moon are not all that good. That says a lot, because like about how good a lot of this competition is. Oh, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Oh my God. The moment this movie was announced, I was like, oh, I'm excited. Or at the very least, when like the moment you title it Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, he's gonna do something very special with it. And special, he made it, because my God, again, the movie's gorgeous to look at. And again, we've seen this story before, because it's Pinocchio, but the way it's paced, the way it's told, it's so, like, it makes it feel like it's just brand new in a way. And knowing Guillermo del Toro, he doesn't stray away from the, like, really dark themes in the film. And, a lot, again, I'm not gonna say a lot about what happens, but the movie's themes about, who are the puppets in society and stuff. I don't know if I should be using the word society, because that could be seen as cringe, but when you see what I'm talking about, it's like, oh my God, like, oh, this is really clever. And also the score. How Alexandre Desplat's score for this movie was not nominated is a crime. Like, Everything Everywhere All at Once got nominated for score, and this didn't? Like, name one note from the score of Everything Everywhere All at Once. I didn't think so. Like, whereas, with Pinocchio, it's like, do 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 do. Like, it's like so well done. And also the song Ciao Papa not even getting nominated for song. That sucks, man. That sucks. But yeah, I love Pinocchio. I love Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I'm going to put it in a very high A tier. Like, I thought what he did with this film was very, very special. And I really hope we get to see a lot more animated films from him, because if this is like his first animated film, imagine what he's going to do in the future when he really refines this craft. Memoir of a Snail. Admittedly, I was kind of watching this in a really sad moment in my life. And I really needed to watch Memoir of a Snail, because it is very, very emotional. I was crying. Like, oh my God. And I related to the main character in many ways. And, it talks about basically the whole movie's theme of just, not giving up, because, good things can still happen in the future. You just need to, pull yourself together and keep going. I feel like, especially in this time, the Memoir of a Snail's message is very important to just keep going, and I really appreciated it for that. So I'm gonna put Memoir of a Snail right now. Put it below Nimona, but these are very close. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Again, talk about a film I was not expecting to be as good as it was. Because when they said, oh yeah, we're doing a second Puss in Boots movie, I was like, why? I mean, what? Like, again, the Shrek franchise has just been kind of milked at this point. I'm not even like I don't even like the first Shrek at all. To be fair, I have not seen Shrek 2, and I've heard that's better. I will try to see that at some point. But still, this felt like it was just a desperate attempt to cash in on Shrek nostalgia. And no, like, I mean, again, I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet that that's how it started. But man, this movie not only had a great style with its animation, resulting in a cheaper budget that allowed this movie to make, more money than it would have if it just had the same kind of animation the first Puss in Boots had. But my God, this story is so well told. Like, the villain, Death, oh my God, he's really entertaining. Or, like, not even, I don't know, actually, no, maybe the more entertaining villain is Jack Horner, who's really funny. But, like, Death is such an intimidating antagonist. Like the way he just whistles and the way he just looks, it's like he does, like, my God, I love what he does in this film. And all the character, like, even the dog, who I thought was going to be annoying, ended up being like one of the most emotional parts of the movie. It's like, I was shocked that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was as good as it was. It's like, really, this is what made it, like, this is what worked. Really? My God. And, now thanks to this film's success, we're getting Shrek 5, which I'm wondering if Puss in Boots is going to make an appearance. I have to assume Puss in Boots is making an appearance in Shrek 5. If they literally teased Shrek 5 in the credits of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Or actually, it wasn't, I don't know if it was in the credits. I think it was like right before the credits. But, yeah. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, it really, like, helped redefine what DreamWorks could be. Or, like, at the very least, like, it kind of reminded us that, like, DreamWorks, while they're not the greatest animation studio in the world, they can still put out some bangers, some real bangers. So yeah, I'm gonna put Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, probably, maybe even, right now, no, yeah, I'll probably put it right below Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I really love Puss in Boots. Raya and the Last Dragon. Again, not great. It's good. I think it's good. But Raya and the Last Dragon, I feel like there's some good ideas in there. I mean, like, well, for one, I like the theme of trusting people. I like that there's not really a villain in this movie. It's more of a misunderstanding. I like that. But I feel like one of my main problems with this movie is that while I like some of these characters, like, I like Raya, I like Sisu, and I like the sort of the antagonist, but again, there's a few layers to that character. A lot of the other characters just did not need to be in it. Like, why was the boy in it? Why was the baby in it? Why were the monkeys in it? Why was, like, the big burly guy with a heart of gold? Like, why was he in the movie? Like, they did not need to be in this movie. They really did not. Oh, I feel like they just represented, like, old Disney tropes I just don't like just these unnecessary side characters, which is also one of the reasons why I'm not really excited to watch Moana 2, even though one of these days I'm going to have to watch Moana 2, because a lot of those characters, I'm just like, oh, you're this kind of character, you're this kind of character, and it's just old, like, Disney tropes where it's just like, oh my God, do we need to have an ensemble for this? Do we really? So yeah, but still, it's good. It's not a bad movie. And plus, I don't know, I feel like the movie's trying to be kind of, like, modern and cool, like Aladdin, but I don't think they quite nail it. I feel like there's just something that feels a little bit phony about the things these characters are saying. Like, I feel like if the movie kind of took itself a little bit more seriously with a little bit more weight, and again, if it cut out a lot of the unnecessary characters, we would have probably one of the more unique, interesting Disney films to come out in recent years. But as is, it's just kind of decent. So I'll probably put Raya and the Last Dragon maybe a little bit below Inside Out 2, but yeah. Robot Dreams. Robot Dreams. Oh my god. This film is really, really fun. Like, really, really good. Actually, it's great. Again, not really any dialogue happens in this film. And a lot of these scenes are very slow, which you get, hell, one of the characters is literally stuck in one place throughout most of the runtime. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be a slow film? Is this going to be boring? But no, it actually ended up being very interesting, and you start to see, you know, the whole thing about, you know, not only about like friendship, but also very distant friendship, and or even things, maybe even themes that I'm not even thinking of right now. But it's a very emotional story, and oh my god, like Party Night September has not, like, which for the longest time I would associate with Night at the Museum, and in a way I still kind of associate it with Night at the Museum. Now, you know, Party Night September, Party Night, like, that's now taken a whole new meaning ever since I watched Robot Dreams, and now I feel like crying every time I hear it, because, oh my god, yeah, I love Robot Dreams. It's just, oh my god, again, very, very simple. I don't know if it's that much of a simple story, but it's like it looks very simple, and it's deceivingly so. And I really appreciate what Robot Dreams told in its story. So I'm gonna put Robot Dreams. Robot Dreams goes in A tier. I think it goes in A tier for me. The Sea Beast. Again, when I first heard of this movie, I was like, I don't know. Do I really need to watch it? Do I really? But no, like, cause it kind of just looked like it was just gonna be like this generic, you know, Netflix, adventure film and whatnot. But no, it actually ended up being very interesting, a little bit, and I really, like, yeah, the art direction's fantastic in the film. I like the dynamic between the two characters. And, you know, like, it's also sort of a story where like, it's sort of been done before, but it does make it's sort of like How to Train Your Dragon in ways where it's like you've seen some of these storylines before, but the way the Sea Beast tells it like makes it feel a little bit more new and a little bit more interesting. I really love the Sea Beast. The Sea Beast is great. I'm probably gonna put it. I'm a low A tier, but that's nothing to scoff at. A Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. I'm not the biggest fan of Aardman. I like their movies, but I don't love them. Again, like, because I don't know, something about just, like, I don't get a whole lot of laughs, and I don't really, you know, I just don't know what it is about Aardman. I like the films, but I don't really love them, and that's kind of the same with Shaun the Sheep Farm again. I was like, alright, that was good, but I don't really remember a lot of it, so I'll probably put Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, probably, around B tier. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then we get to Soul. Oh my god, Soul. Oh my god. This movie is so good. This movie is just, like, this is like one of Pixar's best films ever. Like, holy shit. Like, the moment they said the title of this film, like, they announced the title of this film, and they said that Pete Docter was directing it, I was like, oh, I really like this. I really like this idea. And it was everything I wanted it to be. Even more so, actually. You know, and it's not even a movie about finding the meaning of life like I thought it was going to be. I thought, like, the movie is really about, like, the meaning of life is around you right now. You know, just experiencing the little things in life, you know, eating a pizza or watching those little spinny seeds flow down. It's like stuff that, like, really, you know, like, if you don't know if you're just coming into this world, you know nothing about it. And it's so well told. Again, the ideas in this film, like, the concepts are so well thought out and fleshed out. The characters are really fascinating. Even some scenes, like when when Jamie Foxx's character turns into a cat, or not even really turns into a cat, he ends up embodying the soul of a cat. Not the soul of the cat, but basically, like, his soul enters the body of a cat. And I was thinking, oh no, is the movie going to get really stupid? But no, it doesn't focus on the humor of that quite as much. I mean, it does a little bit at first, but it doesn't like wear the joke out. It does pretty quickly take itself seriously again. And my God, like, oh my, it's just so, like, it's so philosophical. And in many ways, I think it's like Disney's or Pixar's most adult film to date. Like, I genuinely don't think, this is a film made for kids. Like, obviously, kids can watch it, but it's like, no kid's gonna understand any of this. Like, no kid's gonna understand any of like the really like deep philosophical things going on in Soul. And so I really do appreciate it for that. And again, like, my God, like this might be up there in like the top 20 best animated films I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's up there. It maybe even top 15 if I'm going to be honest. So Soul is like one of those special films. It is a very, very special film. And another contender for the best animated film of the 2020s so far, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, my God, I already loved the first Spider-Verse. I was like, this is a great movie. I can't wait to see what they do with the next one. This blew my mind. For one, from a visual standpoint, I didn't know you could do some of this stuff with animation. I didn't know animation could create some of this imagery that I'm seeing right here. I was like, oh God. But also, this is like, it is the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been some great Spider-Man movies. Again, Into the Spider-Verse, and I will still to this day defend Spider-Man No Way Home. That is a fantastic Spider-Man movie. But my God, like, there's barely any action in the first hour of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. There's barely any action scenes. A lot of it is just Miles Morales talking and, with people, the people who he knows, whether it's talking with his parents or, talking with Gwen Stacy. It's like, most of it is just talking before we even get to the whole crazy universe stuff. And it's still just as gripping. It's so fascinating. And I'm really, really excited for where Beyond the Spider-Verse goes, because, my God, the way this movie ends, I'm like, oh, we're in for it now. We are so in for it. Like, everything about this movie is just so perfect. I just couldn't believe my eyes watching this. So yeah, and don't get me wrong, it is very close with, I'm gonna put it right below Soul, but like, it is damn close. I think even in my top 10 favorite movies of the decade, like, these two are like neck and neck against each other. Like, it is, oh my God. And then we get to probably the last great animated Disney film I've seen, which is Turning Red. Like, funny enough, like, I feel like this film did a really good job, talking about, growing up and stuff. I thought the characters were really entertaining. I actually really like the visual style for this film, because I'm not gonna lie, like, a lot of CG animated movies for a while kind of had like the same kind of aesthetic to them, or at the very least, I could see how some things look. Like, for example, when you look at the human characters of Coco and you compare them to like the human characters in Inside Out or something like that, or The Good Dinosaur, it's like a lot of the characters tend to look the same. Whereas Turning Red, I mean, these characters are so uniquely, like, in the Turning Red world. Like, oh my God, and the style, like, the comedy is so funny. And the fact that, a lot of these kids, are doing, kid things. They're being stupid, doing stupid things, and not stupid things where I'm just like, oh my God, this is so bad from a character writing perspective, but it's like, doing stupid, funny things that kids do. I really, really did love what they were doing with Turning Red. Especially, the climax especially is really funny, but also really deep as well. Like, again, I'm just like, oh my God, I love Turning Red. And again, it's kind of sad that, it's been probably 3 years since Turning Red came out. And again, I feel like it's the last great Disney animated film we've had. I really want Disney to come back and do some great things, but it's like, they haven't really cracked it since then. So I'm going to say Turning Red. Where do I put Turning Red? Honestly, I might actually put Turning Red. Yeah, I'm going to put it in like a sort of like a high-ish, mid-ish A tier, which is still great. And then I just realized for the rest of the list, we also have some great films. Wolfwalkers. Again, like, this is, like, very beautiful animated film. Really like the dynamic of these characters. Again, like, the lore is really fascinating. Like, how these, how some of these people can, like, turn into wolves and stuff. And the way they explain it is really fascinating as well. There's not much to say about Wolfwalkers, but again, I haven't really seen it since it came out, but I do remember thinking Wolfwalkers was fantastic. I also really love the music in the film. The music is really fantastic as well. Gorgeous animation, just gorgeous lore, really likable characters. It's just a really likable movie. So I'm gonna put Wolfwalkers probably... yeah, lower A tier, but again, it's still great, so, yeah. Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Fowl. The second, Aardman film to come out this decade. And you'd probably think, well, I mean, if I didn't love Shaun the Sheep movie for Armageddon, because I don't really love, Aardman, you're probably like, oh, he probably is gonna put it in, like, B tier. Actually, no. I think Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Fowl is Aardman's best film. Like... holy shit. This movie is so funny. It is one of the best comedies I saw last year, which is weird because it's like you would not think, like, because it's like, really, you liked Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Fowl that much? But I think a lot of it had to do with the villains, which, there's sort of two villains. There's the main villain, Feathers McGraw, and then there's the Norbots. And they're really funny villains for two very different reasons. For one, Feathers McGraw, like he does not have a single facial expression. He doesn't even like move any eyebrows or anything. He just looks like he doesn't really emote all that much. But my God, he's so funny. Like, whenever, like, he's doing, like, very intimidating things, like cracking his neck, or, whenever he's just, like, kind of walking, and there's, like, grand, music playing, or something like that, he just has that stupid blank face, and it's so funny. Especially once he starts doing his evil deeds. He's just that, like, he's just so funny, and and ironically enough, you get a lot of character from him, and a lot of, feeling from him, even though he doesn't express emotions at all. And then there's the Norbots, which they're hilarious because they're also terrifying. Like, when the Norbots go evil, like, they have, like, these really dark black eyes, which is just like, especially which match with their little grins. They look terrifying. Like, there's this one scene where Wallace, no, it's Gromit. Gromit's the dog. Gromit's trying to sneak into a room where there's a bunch of Norbots working on something, and he doesn't want to get noticed, but then he accidentally steps on a rubber duck. It's like, ee-ee. And then, keep in mind, they were all just kind of working on their thing, the Norbots, and when he looks up, smash cut to the Norbots, and they're already looking at him like, with those dark eyes. It's so scary. The moment when that happened, I was like, ah! I was actually jump scared, but then I was just laughing because it's like, it's so terrifyingly funny in a way. They scare me so much. And these villains really do make the movie really work. And obviously, yeah, Wallace and Gromit themselves, they're very fun and stuff. Like, especially, they're very harmless. But it's the Norbots and Feathers McGraw that make this movie so much better than a lot of other Aardman films up to date. Like, I really, really love Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul. This is a very high A tier. Ooh. Yeah, I'll probably put it just below Flow, but it is a great film. It is great. And then we get to The Wild Robot, the last film on this list. And again, I can't complain. This is a great film. I really loved the familial dynamic between Roz and Bright Bill. Really love those two bouncing off of each other, or at the very least, I don't know about as much bouncing off of each other, because they're more of mother and son. I think the more bouncing off, comedically, is more between Roz and the Fox, played by Pedro Pascal. But like, I really did buy this mother-son relationship between, this big freaking robot and this little duck. I really did buy it. And the sound design is really good. The music is fantastic. And, especially around the end of the film, it's like, I was like, this should be way too corny for me to get into. Like, I really should not be buying into this, but for some reason I was, and that's a really good, way of that's a very good, how do I explain it? It's very good when you're able to do something that I really think shouldn't work, but it ends up winning me over anyway. I love The Wild Robot. Again, this is like one of DreamWorks' best films in quite a while. So I'm going to put it... I'll probably put it like around the middle of A tier. It's great. And so, yeah, looking at where the best animated feature race... or like the best animated feature nominees of the 2020s, we've had some damn great nominees. My God, I'm pretty sure that even if you lumped up B and C tier, it wouldn't even make up half of A tier, let alone combining A tier and S tier, which just says a lot about like how good this year has been. And if you want to know any of my personal winners, 2020, my vote would have gone to Soul. For 2021, my vote would have gone to The Mitchells versus the Machines. 2022, yeah, I would have gone with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. 2023, I would have gone with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and 2024, I would have gone with Flow. So, but again, even though I disagreed, like to a little bit with The Boy and the Heron winning over Spider-Verse, I still can't complain because The Boy and the Heron is still a great film. Like, that's how good this decade has been. And again, the fact that, like, this is, again, like I said before, this is the decade where it's like Disney is showing some cracks. Like, they're showing some weakness. This is not a category, at least not anymore, where they've just staked their own territory. It's not just a Disney monopoly anymore. Like, we're getting not only, like, other studios beating Disney for this category, but even more independent films. Not only just independent films, but international films. The last two films to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, The Boy and the Heron and Flow, are not even American productions. They are from international countries. And one of them, Flow, like, was literally an indie film. Like, at least you could imagine, like, Studio Ghibli's, like, really big over in Japan. Flow is made on Blender. Like, it was literally just made on Blender with not as big of a team, and it still won Best Animated Feature. Like, that just goes to show that this Academy is really changing when it comes to the Best Animated Feature category. Again, I really feel like, I really wish they would start nominating more animated films for Best Picture, but, like, they really are exploring other options than just Disney. It's not just the Disney category anymore. And the thing is, even this upcoming Oscars, I don't think Disney's gonna win again. I feel like it's gonna be Wildwood, the Laika film. So, yeah, it's just really interesting where this category has gone in this past decade. But now, I want to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts on the Best Animated Feature nominees of the 2020s, and what's your ranking? I'm going to leave a tier list in the description of this video, and I want to see your tier lists. And be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, you're going to be animated.